Sup nerds, I'm Tom.
I'm Wes.
Tom and Wes both love this game, so keep watching to find out why.
So Gugong is one of those games that's kind of like Trajan, where you've got these different sections of the board and you go to the different sections to do different things. Some of them are like how to get victory points. Some of them are how to get better equipped to go and get the victory points. But one of the really cool things about it is you don't just pick a section. You have a hand of numbered cards, and when you go to a section, there's also numbered cards at each section. You have to play a card that is higher than the card that is there. So if there's a 6 here, I can play this 8 and actually swap out the cards, and then I can activate this section.
Right, because what you're actually doing is you are gift giving, but you always want to give a gift that's better than the gift that you get. Or, sorry, it's your gift exchanging, really, because that's why you swap the cards, so that in that example, he put an 8 there, but he actually takes the 6 and puts it face down on his player board, so that's going to be in his hand for next round. Mm-hmm. So you always want to, give a better gift than you get. And actually, when I first heard that, I was like, wow, that actually sounds kind of terrible, because doesn't that mean all the numbers are just going to get higher and higher, and you're going to keep getting screwed because you're going to have low cards? Like, because aren't you, by definition, always putting lower cards into your deck hand for the next hand? Right? I kept thinking, well, like, aren't you by definition just putting lower cards into your hand for the next round? So you're like, wow, isn't it just going to get locked up? Well, there's a couple of things. First of all, there's ways around swapping with a lower number. Right?
Yeah.
You can, like, burn another card from your hand, or you can burn some assistance, or you can just straight up not do anything.
Yeah.
And also there is some circular aspect where a 1 will actually beat a 9. So the lowest card will beat the highest card, but you can still use higher cards to beat the lowest card, so there is, and it's really balanced, like the when we hand out opening hands, those are like,
it's like set opening hands. Like the first player gets this hand, the second player gets this hand. So there's a lot of like balancing and distribution to make sure that like your benefit for going third is that your hand of cards is set up to, I'm assuming set up to beat out the first player's hand of cards at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. The other cool thing about when you play the cards is a lot of the cards also have an action on them. So like this one just gets you cubes, but some of them let you activate other areas as well. So like, all right, I'm going to come up here and play this card. Well, this card lets me activate this area. And then because I played the card here, I then get to activate this area. So you're doing a lot of things on your turn, and there's a lot of strategy, even just in that. In the cards that you're playing, there's a ton of strategy in this game.
Yeah, there's a surprising amount of chains. Like, it's not... chains isn't like the name of the game. That's not what you're
it's
only...
Like combo!
Yeah, but a lot of the times when you do a thing, you're not going to do just one. You're going to be able to do this, which lets me do that, and then I get this for cheaper. And actually, the best section is up... Well, before I talk about that, I do want to make talk about the comparison you made to Trajan. Trajan is split up into 5 sections, and the way you pick what we're going to do is with that Mancala thing. So not only is the way you choose the section different, but in Trajan, all 5 of those sections, if I'm remembering correctly, were pretty much all just how you get points. You can trade resources, you can do an area control thing, you can do a King of the Hill thing here, but they're all pretty much just points. In this, though, there's only like a couple that are like straight up for points. A lot of them are like abilities and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, getting back to saying that, like, my favorite area is the area that may not necessarily win you the game if you do it a whole bunch, but it's really fun as you move your horse around here and hit all these different little ability tokens, and like you can move around, like you always skip empty spaces, so it's not just a track you move down, like you can go crazy and get tons of different combinations of stuff here. It's just the most fun part of the game, definitely.
There's a lot of instant gratification up here because a lot of other places, like coming here is building a wall, and so you're like, all right, I'm going to come here and put some cubes in the wall, and then maybe later come back, or somebody else is going to come finish the wall, and then I could score points on it. And like over here is unlocking abilities to use later in the game. Over here is like setting up for tiebreakers.
Yeah, so that's probably like the most boring one.
No, the most boring one is this one. Because it's boring and it's also really cool. Talk about tiebreakers.
It's boring and important. Yeah, well, tiebreakers is just like, it's good to be breaking a tie, but until somebody completes the wall, because you can also spend influence to gain some bonuses, which sometimes you won't even want to do. Until, like, that's it. I just explained to you that whole section. It's kind of like, okay, I want to break ties, and I guess maybe it would be good to spend a little bit to get some cubes, but let's do some more. Let's do some actual game stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. This one here.
So the way this works is it's like nothing's happening. It's a track that you work your way up. And then when you get to the top of the track, the first person there gets 7 points, and then 5 points, and then 3 points. And if you ever are like at the top and you're supposed to go up, you just gain 1 more point, which is like super dry and bland, like just race, and then you can just keep getting more points there.
But
the only way to win the game is to have gotten to the top here. So if you don't get to the top, your score is 0.
Yeah,
just
this is the Palace of Heavenly Purity, I think it's called. That's the only thing that whenever I think about it, I go like, I don't know if I do or don't like that. Like, I definitely don't think I like it, but I don't know if I dislike it. I'm like, it's one of those, do this or else. I'm really big, do this or else.
It's a little feature people of like,
right.
You have to spend a certain number of turns here during the game or else you can't win.
Yeah, but at least I can say is, one, there are a lot of, that symbol is on a lot of cards, so you can do it passively a decent amount. And also, getting up there real early is a great way to get extra points. Because like I said, I don't know if you heard this, there's a lot of that symbol on other cards. Yeah. So if you get up there real early, now a lot of your cards will just net you an extra point every time you play it. Like,
yeah. And then when you're like in a 2-player game, it's a 2-point difference at the top. But then once you start getting into like a 4-player game and it's a 5-point swing, like that 5 points is a big difference in this game. But then also if you're up there first and you just keep getting points, that spread just keeps spreading wider and wider and wider.
The only other 2 sections we didn't really talk about, I mean, I guess we only kind of touched on the wall, but that's pretty much it, is getting Jade is also relatively boring. It's just set collection.
Yeah.
Well, you just get Jade, and the more Jade you get, the more points you get. So I don't even know set collection. It's just collection.
Well, it's a ramping. Like, it's 1 point for 1, 3 points for 2, 6 points. Like,
right.
It does escalate.
That's not set collection. Set collection would be like in Trajan when you get those cards. You want to get, I want to get all the bread or all that. Yeah. I don't remember what I think those were resource cards. Anyways, but like I want to get a set of bread or a set of flowers or a set of butts, whatever. I don't know what it is. Anyways, but down here, the boats one is probably the only one that could be considered a bit clunky.
I like the boats a lot.
I didn't say I didn't like it. I like it, but it was the hardest one to explain to new players because it's like you add a boat, and especially in this, if you notice, in a 4 or 5 player game, there's actually 2 rivers instead of just the one in a lower player count. Because it's like you add a boat, and then you can add cubes to the boat and move the boat, or you can just add more cubes to the boat. And then wherever you land at, you can, if you're full, you can get rid of all the cubes to get the ability. But you skip other players and stuff, and you can have multiple boats at the same time. But they always move at the nighttime. But it's like, okay, so I want to put my cube here so I can get over to this area so I can get 4 points. Oh, wait, but I'm not going to have enough to do that this turn. And I'm already at the 4 points, which means at night it's going to move, so it's going to be past the 4 points. So I'm either going to have to get a different bonus or try and move it more so I can get 4 points at the end of the line. It's the only one that could be considered clunky.
And then to add one more layer to what's going on, there's actually 2 options for what you do at each location. There's like the basic one that you just get for going there and swapping gifts, but you can also spend some of your cubes to do like a more complicated or a better action. So like up here, you can spend 2 cubes to move even further with your horse, because every space you move, you get that thing. So you can do extra stuff up here, or you can put more stuff on the wall, or you can move farther up the influence. It's just a better version of what you're doing.
Right. And actually, even like when you play a card that says, take this action at this other place. Well, when you take that action, you could choose to do the regular version or the more hardcore version. But to add even more onto this is definitely not Baby's first game. Is these dice up here at the top that you roll at the start of every round. Every card that you have in your discard pile, basically in your hand for next round, that matches one of those dice, you'll get an extra cube, which we keep talking about cubes. These are a pretty important resource for bumping up and doing actions better. But then whoever has the most will get 3 points and move up on here, so it could be 4 points. And then just another somewhat passive way of moving up here, which again really makes me think that this Heavenly Purity thing isn't that much of a, difficult mechanic, really.
It's not difficult, but you definitely don't want to miss it.
Right. Don't ignore it, but it's not something, I have to do that every turn. Like, you really might have to go there, like, a couple times. But, so, with these dice thing, whenever you go to swap a card, right, and you're either the same or lower, right, you have 3 options. One, you could just swap and do no action at all. It's just basically burning a whole turn. 2, you could burn 2 cubes, which I just said cubes are an important resource, or you can pitch another card from your hand. The 2 cubes thing is maybe the one you're going to do the most, but just swapping the card or pitching a card from your hand, both of those could be potentially like beneficial if that card that's going there matches one of the dice.
And also is one of those things you have to like, okay, well, an 8 is up here. I have an 8 in my hand that I could play over there to beat that out.
But then someone's going to take it.
I know, remember, he has the 9 from last turn. Right. So if I put the 8 there, he can take it with a 9, and I'm giving him more points.
I actually totally did that once. One time I think I didn't burn it because I had to. I think it was a card. I think a token let me do that. But I remember I was like, sweet, I get to burn this. And that was like what pushed me over to having the most for this. And then I got 4 points. And I was like, yeah.
So the thing that I did was there's ways that you can like have a bigger hand, which basically means you get more actions, which if you can get like, you can do it twice. So if I can have 6 cards in hand and somebody else has 4 cards in hand, like I'm kind of gonna crush because I get to do so much more than they do. But so I'm also like, ooh, I've got this 1 and a 1 is up here. I'm going to wait until he's out of cards and then I can play my 1 and then get it back and he can't get it.
What he was just talking about there is on the boat track, you can get either 4, and you're actually limited. You can only get 4 points up to 3 times, those cards up to 2 times, like you said. But you can also get this double servant, so not to teach you the whole game, but this is, a lot of people keep saying this is really strong. Like, even when you got it, you were like, this is really strong. I've never seen somebody get this and like win the game because it's only really strong on the boat track again.
Or on the
wall. So it is really strong, but you have to use it very strategically. Like the extra, I think on the boat track, probably the strongest thing is the extra cards because at least it's more versatile.
Yeah.
You said if you get 2 extra cards and everybody else has none, right? They all have 4 cards and you have 6 cards. I have 2 more actions than you. Well, maybe because some of those cards you might not be able to play.
And you may not have enough cubes to actually utilize those cards into good actions. Right. Either way, if you can't tell, we really like this game. Like this is one that I played it and I was like, oh yeah, this is a must-have for me.
This is one that I played with other people before I played it with Wes, and I texted Wes and was like, bruh, Gugong, you gotta play it. It's dope.
It's a little bit heavier. Again, like you said, it's not your first game. It's not even like your second game. Like this is definitely, like it's not like way up there with the Vital Lacerdas, but it's...
Especially when you play this right after a Vital Lacerda, you're like, oh, this is nothing.
But it's probably like, if like, you know, Vital Lacerda is a 10, and something else is a 1.
And watching TV's a 0.
Like, this is above the 5 mark, I would say.
Yeah. This is like 1 or 2 steps above a Lords of Waterdeep. Point is, buy it.
Buy it. There will actually be a purchase link down below where you can do just that.
Also down below, we'll have a link for Game Topper. That's this super awesome tabletop we've been playing on here. You'd be like, wow, that game looks awesome, but that board's super huge. I can't play that on my table. Yes, you can with Game Toppers.
Either way, make sure you subscribe to our channel for more awesome quality content like this, so that way you will never be bored.
Also down below, there'll be junk.
There'll be junk. Is it again? Last time it was